Hey! Hello, everybody.
Hello.
It's another episode. Oh, someone forgot to put their mic in.
Yeah, somebody did. I don't know who that was.
It's season 2 still, episode 9 of the Snowflake Show. I hope you guys are all doing well. You've had a good week. I am your co-host, Regan Elite, alongside.
I'm Lineker. Here as usual.
And over the next hour, guys, we're going to give you the latest news and views of what's been going on in the world. Just going to give you guys a bit of heads up. I've not been well at all today. I've actually been sick. I've been a bit sicky. I didn't go into work today, so I'm not feeling 100%. But Lee will jump in for me if at all I need to step away or whatever if need be, guys. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that.
So if you've got the vomit bag, we'll just see your head go suddenly like lean off to one side. Then
yeah, if I go,
just to get rid of mic.
Mute your mic. You guys know why. So,
yeah, I hope you're feeling better today.
Yeah, I hope so. So yeah, well, I wasn't happy not to be. I don't like calling in sick. I don't like not working. I don't like doing that. But anyways, moving on. Who have we got in the chat today, Lee?
So we've got somebody called Regan Lee, Evening Snowflakes. Don't know who that is. Casper Northerner. Hi everyone. Hi Casper. Fearless Wolf says, hey peeps. Hey Fearless. Number 3 says hello. Hi number 3. Ginger Giraffe. Hi guys. Hi Gingers. Alistair MK. Hi Regan Lee. Hi Lee. Evening. Hi. Hi Stem. Stu. Hey guys. Hi Stu. Fearless Wolf. Nothing brightens my week more than you. Oh, thanks Fearless.
Oh, thanks for saying that, Fearless. That's very thoughtful.
It's not been a great day for either of us today, has it? So yeah. Alice Demcare. Hi Stu. Fearless. Ginger. Oh, yeah, everybody's saying hello to each other. So says good evening all. Healthy and sick. Yeah. Yeah. Number 3 says some vomit-inducing words. Patel. Bravo. Yeah.
Well, we've actually got a great good news story for International Women's Day as well, which is pretty nice. I think is pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
So, consider all things considered today.
Yeah. Happy International Women's Day from two.
Yes, for all the women out there who. Yeah, absolutely. So. I did actually clock that until I rewatched the because I had the article ready a few days ago and it just clocked on me. I was just like, oh, what a great good timing to share that story. So I hope you guys enjoy it when we share it.
So hope everybody's doing well. Cash Tom is here. Hi, get well soon, Cash Regan.
Hi, Gingers as well. If we didn't already say hello.
Yeah, we said hello. Yeah, everybody just saying hello. And Alistair MK speaking the 2 words and no one should ever speak in the same sentence. Does that mean you have to be nice to Sue Ella since it's Women's Day? No.
We can make exceptions for certain people. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Shall we jump straight into it? Because we've got a lot to cover for an hour.
Ben Shaw's here as well. So
hello, Ben. Good to see you there.
Yeah, let's go into the thing that I always forget to do. News.
Oh.
She has to be human first, says Ben. Oh, sorry, we'll do the notes as well. Oh, sorry, yeah. You know what? We'll go back.
We're skipping the notes today.
There we go. Right. Okay. Okay. Right. There.
Right. So let me run down some of the notes that I've picked up over the last week, and obviously there's some stories that we're not covering today. That we've picked up on as well. So let's just run through these. So first notes, poll from The Guardian. Poll finds 41% say Keir Starmer's party is better at backing the national interest compared to 23% with Rishi Sunak's Tories.
Good.
The iNews had reported on Tuesday that firefighter strikes were avoided as unions voted to accept a 12% pay rise. The fire brigade union members voted to accept the offer of a 7% pay rise backdated to July 2020, plus an additional 5% from July 2023. So that's good news for firefighters. There's also one from Sky News where unsuitable childcare. This one really concerns me. Unsuitable child causing UK to miss out.
Ooh.
Up to my camera's gone.
Yeah, we lost you. Your sound went a little bit as well.
Oh.
There you go. You're back in the room.
So this one from Sky News: unsuitable childcare causing UK to miss out on up to £38 billion in growth, says think tank. Figures obtained exclusively by Sky News shows that 27% of mothers would like to work more hours if they had access to more suitable children. So basically, childcare costs way too much, and unless you've got family to help, cope with that, people have to basically work less in order to look after their children. Essentially, that's what that story is about.
It's a choice between either working and paying childcare, which basically means you come away with nothing, or you don't work and look after your kids. And there's not great.
Not good at all. iNews reported that regarding the NHS strikes, claims of up to £262 an hour for cover during doctor strikes branded unreasonable. The British Medical Association is recommending members to ask for hourly rates between £158 per hour and £262 per hour for cover during the strikes.
Yep. The thing is, a lot of doctors actually work private as well. So so when they're not working in the NHS, so they can obviously earn a lot more in those. Yeah. But yeah. Okay, go on, Karen. So jumping in there.
Yep. Also, cost of living crisis as well. 1 in 7 people, 15% have skipped meals amid the cost of living, up from 1 in 8, 12% 3 months ago, according to Consumer Champion. That's from Sky News yesterday as well. One outside story. I pretty much shouted about this on Max's stream yesterday, but if you guys didn't hear it, this is from Universal Basic Income. The Catalan government's ambitious €800 a month scheme for a UBI, which was initially supposed to begin in January and then sought approval as part of their budget, was voted down in Parliament's Economic Committee on Friday. So essentially they were going to trial a UBI, basically, the Catalan government in Spain, and it got turned down, basically. So people would have gotten €800 put straight into their pockets, which would have been a real life-changing difference for them. And the last couple of stories, which we didn't have time to cover today. Ministers question if Sue Gray followed the rules. As measures revealed, Tory divide on Labour's appointment. We're not covering too much on the Sue Gray report, but that Sue Gray being appointed by Labour. But obviously they had wasted an hour of Parliament's time having the debate about it. Also, this other one, I put the petition on the Discord server if you guys are interested in signing this petition. More than 200,000 backed the independence petition to stop Boris Johnson giving his father a knighthood. So if you guys want to sign up to that, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, this also dropped down a couple of hours ago as well, that Boris Johnson has given evidence. Oh, wait, we're covering that.
Yeah, we're covering that one. Yeah, let's not.
Yeah. Oh, we're covering that one. And finally, Boris Johnson's pay accounts for 85% of all outside earnings have been declared by MPs so far this year. That's an exclusive from Sky, I believe.
Because the amount he's earned in the last sort of few months since he stepped down as Prime Minister has now pushed him to 85% of all earnings by MPs from outside government.
Yes,
outside the House of Parliament, I should say. Yeah, external earnings. Yeah, unbelievable that, isn't it?
But I nearly gave away our first article. So
we've already given it away on screen once as well. Yeah, you're doing well today.
Yeah.
Should we go jump into that then?
Let's dive straight into it, and then we'll catch up with the chat. Okay. So, the headline. This is from the Telegraph. Now, hold on, guys, don't panic. It's to do with the WhatsApp messages and stuff. So, we're not switching sides or anything like that. We're just giving you this breaking news that came down a few hours ago. So Boris Johnson warned Dominic Raab about his conduct and gave evidence to the bullying investigation. Boris Johnson privately warned Dominic Raab about his conduct and has given evidence to the bullying investigation to his former cabinet colleague, the Telegraph can reveal. The former Prime Minister had been interviewed by Adam Trolley, KG, the independent lawyer who is looking into a formal complaint made against Dominic Raab about his treatment of staff. It is highly unusual for a former Prime Minister to be involved in an investigation launched by Downing Street. Mr. Raab, the Justice Secretary and Deputy Prime Minister, has faced a number of allegations about his behaviour toward junior staff in government departments, broadly centred on claims that he demeaned and forthright attitude. The FDA trade union, which represents civil servants, said it understands dozens of people are involved in these complaints spanning several years. Mr. Raab has categorically rejected suggestions of wrongdoing, saying in the past, I am confident I have behaved professionally at all times. He has held cabinet positions throughout Mr. Johnson's 3-year premiership, but was moved between posts. Initially, Mr. Raab was Foreign Secretary, but he was reshuffled into the Justice Department in September 2001, with government sources at the time saying Mr. Raab resisted the move. Duration of Mr. Johnson's interview with Mr. Trolley and the full contents of what was discussed are not known. In the revelation that Mr. Johnson warned Dominic Raab about his conduct is a major development in the investigation, indicating that there was some concern at the very top of the government. Mr. Raab stood in for Mr. Johnson at their dispatch box in the House of Commons during the latter premiership, first in the role of Secretary of State and later as Deputy Prime Minister. I'm quite surprised that Boris Johnson actually gave evidence to it.
Well, I mean, if he was asked, I suppose he didn't really have much choice, did he? I suppose. Investigation understood to be in its final stage. Yeah.
Investigation is understood to be in its final stage. Rishi Sunak says he will wait to see the outcome before making any decisions on Mr. Raab's future in the cabinet. I mean, these allegations are just, the number of complaints is just sky high. I'm sure you guys in the chat are fully aware, but the fact that even Mr. Johnson had to pull him aside, and we all know what the former Prime Minister is capable of, it just speaks even bigger volumes about the conduct of Dominic Raab, and it really is just ridiculous that he's even there in the first place. He really needs to be given the boot.
Yeah, not good, is it? Just going into the chat, because we didn't go into the chat after the thing. So I think we've got a few new people coming. Due Vengeance is here.
Context is there as well. So Larry the Cat as well. Good to see you guys.
Gosh, don't know who we said before. Petition sign says Duke.
Sorry.
Duke signed the petition already.
Nice.
It's not the Snowflake Show without technical glitches, says Alistair. Yeah, that's true. It wouldn't be. Solar Braverman isn't international. That's true. Remember to hit the like button. Yes, hit the like button. Very
good, yes. Very nice. I like how you swung that.
Ben Shaw says about Corella Braverman, she has to be human first to be considered for International Women's Day. Yeah, I suppose.
I have not seen Political X's video about BoJo's father. I'll have a look at that, Kier.
Who said that, Alistair?
Definitely have a look at that. Thank you. Yeah. There's so many great YouTubers, it's hard to keep up with everyone.
But, I mean, we'll get into the small boats in a little bit. So, right, should we move on to the next one then?
Yeah, let's jump into the next one. So obviously, hopefully we'll get some more answers as we go along. But the next one is from the Independent. My stomach's playing up a little bit.
If you want me to read any, just say I don't mind.
Yeah, do you want to take over this one?
Yeah, just let me know if you're not feeling too good.
No, you carry on.
Okay, Rishi Sunak, this is not prepared to make changes to his landmark Brexit deal as he stares down critics in the DUP and on his own backbenchers. Northern Ireland's largest unionist parties claim the agreement may need reworking, but Mr Sunak has hinted he could press ahead with the deal without the DUP support. This is not necessarily about me or any one political party. This is about what is best for the people and communities and businesses of Northern Ireland, and this agreement will make a hugely positive difference to them, he said. The Prime Minister's official spokesperson said that the government believed it had secured the right deal for all parties in Northern Ireland, and said the government was prepared to answer questions about how the deal works in practice. Northern Ireland Office Minister and Brexiteer Steve Baker also warned, this is a deal and there is not a deal, not a different deal available. People are worried about the DUP, but there's an earnest sense of relief and support. I think we all believe Mr Sunak done it. But I would just wait with bated breath to see if the DUP agrees, he added. Mr. Sunak claimed his Windsor framework would give Northern Ireland the world's most exciting economic zone and a trip to Belfast to sell the deal. The Prime Minister is awaiting a verdict to the DUP, which has said it will take time to study the proposals and the European Research Group of Eurosceptics in his own party. Former Prime Minister Boris Johnson has also been urged to put up or shut up over the deal, which Mr. Sunak said would get Brexit done. Sources close to the former Prime Minister, Mr. Johnson, did not deny a report that he had asked the DUP to withhold support until the party had carefully studied the agreement. One senior Tory MP said Mr. Johnson should put up or shut up and urged Mr. Sunak to suspend him if he opposes the Windsor Agreement, support the deal or lose the whip, he told The Independent. I wonder who that is, a senior Tory MP. Another senior Tory MP said Boris needs to stop playing games and realise this is all over. It's time to be magnanimous and embrace the fact it's a really good Brexit deal. David Lidington, who's de facto deputy PM under Theresa May, also called on Mr. Johnson to come out and back the deal. I hope he'll recognise what Rishi Sunak has achieved and give the PM his full support, he told The Independent. Mr. Johnson was not in the Commons chamber when Mr. Sunak took questions on the deal from MPs on Monday. He took part in a Commons debate on energy security on Tuesday but did not mention Brexit. Source close to the ex-PM said he would study and reflect on the Windsor framework. Mr. Sunak is thought to have phoned his predecessors to brief him on the deal before announcing it. PM asked Mr. Johnson to pipe down on Brexit after a series of interventions, according to an ally of Mr. Sunak. Another said the PM should use the huge momentum he has behind the deal and hold a promised vote in the Commons next week, rather than let the DUP and ERG keep finding details they don't like in the full text. This number 10 would not be drawn on the vote timing of a vote on deal, saying Mr. Sunak was keen to avoid putting pressure on political parties as they continue to study the deal of compromise stuck with Brussels. Yeah, it'd be interesting. DUP's leader, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, was one of remain key issues of concern, suggested on Tuesday that the Unionist Party could take a long time before offering a verdict. Our party officers, our assembly members, our MPs, and ultimately even our party executive will determine the party's approach on this issue, he told Good Morning Ulster. We'll consult and we'll take our time. DUP hardliner Ian Paisley Jr. said his gut instinct was the agreement doesn't cut the mustard.
Of course he would say that.
Yeah, well, yeah. Although Sir Geoffrey raised the idea of the DUP suggesting changes, Number 10 signalled there was no room to go back to the EU with alterations. We stand ready to have further talks with these parties if they have questions about how it works in practice, said Mr. Sunak's spokesperson. ERG Chairman Mark Francois said after a Commons meeting that it would take around a fortnight for the legal eagles to carry out their detailed legal audit. Asked if he was concerned the PM might push ahead without awaiting the ERG's findings, Mr. Francois said, I'm not the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, but I think it would be sensible for the Prime Minister to give the DUP time to come to a conclusion on this too. I think proceeding at a steady and sensible pace would be the best advised course of action. Yeah, and literally... yeah, it's pretty much the same.
So, I mean, obviously, it's nice that Boris Johnson was told to basically put up or shut up. I like that he's put that pressure on him. That's really important. I think the DUP, Geoffrey Donaldson, hasn't really kind of said yes or no, and he's kind of biding his time. But at the same time, it's like, well, you know, they're not going to get a better deal than this. I can't see them getting a better deal than this. I mean, like, what are they, like, nothing's going to change if they say no. Like, if they refuse to take up the executive, you know, it's not helping anyone. They know it's not helping their situation, and they're losing a fighting battle anyway for unionists over in Northern Ireland just by sitting on their backside and not governing.
Yeah. I think you know, you wonder whether it's just the DUP stretching it out so they don't have to even talk about or consider going into the executive. You know. But like you say, they're not going to get a better deal. The EU isn't going to come back with another deal. This, you know, as far as they're concerned, this is a great deal. And so, you know, and it is better than what they had, you know, and even, you know, whether you agree with Sunak on many different things, does give them the benefit that the rest of the UK doesn't have of being part of the single market and having access to the GB market as well. So,
yeah, I mean,
the EU on the doorstep
Sir
as well.
I was just going to say, Sir Geoffrey did say it has made significant gains on what they wanted. A lot of concessions that DUP wanted have taken it a step closer to what they've wanted. But obviously, they're very fickle. They can't have their cake and eat it. They know they can't have their cake and eat it because that's just not gonna work the way they want it to. But this whole stalling is not going to make a difference either. I mean, given the circumstances, like, this is a good deal for people in Northern Ireland. It's a good deal for everyone, really. And I'm and just taking my, I'm glad that they've been able to get this deal, and obviously I just hope that everyone takes their time to look at it as they say they are before putting it into a vote. So you could say it's one of the, I mean, yes, of course, it's going to help. Technically, it's going to help Sunak and his votes and his support, to say, because he can brag about it, saying, "Look, I've secured this deal," and all that malarkey. But what's more important is just being able to get stability for the people of Northern Ireland, because they've been without Stormont for way too long, and it's time to get back into it, I'd say.
Yeah. Just looking in the chat, Tom Nelson's here. Greetings, snowflakes. We bring turnips. Have you got turnips? Wow. I have no turnips. Well, I've got turnips, but they're looking very, very limp and shriveled up. So Stu says, Larry the cat can get turnips and tomatoes in abundance here, but no beetroot. Lol. Who else is here? Good for Brexit.
Raab the turnip, says Tom.
Yeah. I wonder if Zoot says, I wonder if turnips make good ammunition. Ask Coffee. Turnip gun. Yeah.
DUP flat earner poots. There were no dinosaurs, says Sir Larry. Very good.
He said, Casper knows it's gone, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, Casper said the DUP have formed a committee. They brought back Alarine Foster and Peter Robinson.
Oh, God. He said that he said on the BBC the Secretary of State was thinking of meeting paramilitary representatives. I take it that means in Northern Ireland. Casper Northern's on Northern Ireland, don't you? Yeah. I'd rather
dangerously underestimated pricks, says Tom.
Yeah. And number 3 says, rather throw turnips at the stocks and tomatoes. Assuming that BJ and his criminal cronies are the targets. Stu says, I'm in that London tomorrow. Yay. He can meet up with you. He's in London. You're in London. You can meet up.
Yeah, I haven't got any time, I'm afraid, this week. I really don't.
Only a small place. You probably bump into each other. So
that's not how it works in London.
Tom Nelson. The DUP will make a statement at the end of the month. Not sure which month. Yeah.
Yeah. So it will make a statement at some month. Just not say when.
The EU is being very generous. There are bound to be risks. Salary Cat says, but if it's not the Bible, the DUP will not read it. Yeah, no government in Northern Ireland since the election in May, says Casper Northerner. Yeah. I see no turnips. Listening but watching the show, says watching the snow, Lefty Belt. Oh yeah, I noticed it was 40 centimetres of snow predicted on the Pennines tonight, so that should be good. Not much snow here though. Very little snow.
I had a little bit this morning, but nothing serious. Right, shall we move on to the next article? This one's so this one from The Guardian, guys. It's Brexit trade treaty could be terminated if UK quits the ECHR over small boat crossings. So obviously that's been the big topic that's been rammed down people's throats, is the whole stop the boats rubbish from this government. But anyways, The UK's trade agreement with the EU could be immediately terminated if the British government quits the European Convention on Human Rights, the EHCR, over the issue of stopping small boats crossing across the Channel, legal experts have said. Under the 2020 Trade and Cooperation Agreement, the TCA, the EU has the right to take retaliatory action against the ending of the hard-fought agreements on extradition and access to the database of the biometric data, including fingerprints and DNA, said Steve Pearce, a professor of EU and human rights law. If the UK leaves the ECHR and denounces all or part of it, it's fairly clear that the EU would suspend the police and security agreement, he said, pointing out that the TCA locks Britain into a number of provisions relating to human rights conventions as a standing on policy. It would make cross-border law enforcement harder and mean suspects facing extradition to Britain would have a legal defence open to them with arguments that their human rights were at risk in a UK court. Catherine Bernard, a professor of EU law at the University of Cambridge, said, "It is clear that the EU absolutely has had it in mind that the UK may try to leave the conversation, and respect for it runs through the TCA like writing through a stick of rock." Article 524 of the TCA states the agreement, which was struck by the UK's then chief Brexit negotiator Lord Frost and the EU, is based on both parties that long-standing respect for democracy, the rule of law, and the protection of the fundamental rights, including those in the Convention. Article 692 provides for a 9-month notice of termination of the TCA by either party, but allows for immediate termination effective on the day either party leaves the ECHR or the date the denunciation of its principles becomes effective. But basically, it's essentially saying is that basically this whole deal, basically the government are going to just compound us even more if they even think about leaving the ECHR whatsoever. And I can't see them doing that. And this new bill that they're trying to shove down people's throats, just like they were trying to shove down other migrant. The other bill from the last bill, they bragged on about saying it was going to reduce migration numbers and all that, which obviously was not proven to be successful. And if you haven't watched Prime Minister's Questions, I suggest you do go have a look at it after the show. Keir Starmer made it blatantly obvious, like, you guys aren't doing anything about the migration issue whatsoever.
No intention of fixing it, because it wouldn't. They can't blame the EU anymore for many things, or immigration anyway. They can't blame the EU for that. So small boats are the scapegoat of choice at the moment, and it's very easy just to kind of carry on and let them be a problem and just gaslight everyone, basically.
Yeah, it's their only form of attack, pretty much.
Yeah.
And they don't like. And I think Phil from A Different Bias did a great video breaking down the analysis of PMQs as well, because it really is their main. It's the only thing that kind of unites the party as well. Like, they will all get behind each other when it comes to migration and stopping the boats, and they bang this drum out of the immigration's out of control and all this kind of thing. Yet, if you really ask people what they're more concerned about, I think they'll say the cost of living, the NHS. Their bills a bit too much.
Yeah.
Can't feed their kids. Food banks. Education.
Yeah.
I think these things are a bit more important than people coming across the channel. Especially those down at the lower end who are struggling right now.
Yeah. It was interesting as I listened to LBC before, and there was somebody on there, and he was saying that I think it was on Ian Dale's show, and he was saying that if you ask Conservative members or Conservative voters where immigration is, 1 in 5 is listed in there as one of their main concerns. But if you ask Labour voters, it's 1 in 20 will say that immigration is an issue. For the most part, it isn't an issue, and it's like I don't know if you listen to James O'Brien, but he was saying about, like, these things, immigration only becomes an issue, and there's spikes, and you can actually measure it. The number of people concerned about immigration is directly related to how much the right-wing press and the government talks about it. So at the moment, it'll probably start creeping up. because everybody's talking about it. But if everybody stopped talking about it, then it'd just go away. It's literally just because people are talking about it and going and making it a big deal, then it becomes a concern. Once you stop talking about it, nobody's bothered. Because at the end of the day, for most people, it makes very little difference. If you're living in a village in the middle of nowhere, and you never see an immigrant, that isn't going to affect you. You're never going to see these people.
This is the least of our issues.
Yeah. And we got so
this is the thing, but they blow the rhetoric so far up, like it's the end of the world thing. I mean, this is not what the British public are really concerned about. They really are not. This is the least of. Like, I'm sorry, this is one of the least of our issues. It's but it's blown out of proportion, and yet we're not. We're still having crisis in our NHS. We're still having a cost of living crisis. But no, the main issue is obviously people coming across in boats. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, it's just deflect, isn't it? You just find something else to talk about rather than the actual issues.
It's really shameful. And I like that that there's the very possibility that the Brexit trade treaty could be terminated, and there's no way. Like, I don't care how much rhetoric they talk. I think they'd be absolutely insane.
Yeah.
If they cancel that treaty, I mean, it would just absolutely destroy our economy.
It's not going to happen.
I mean, it's already been destroyed, but
but it's not going to happen. It's like Keir Starmer said. The last one we told you it wouldn't work, and it hasn't worked because they really can't do anything. All the things they talk about, they can't legally do. It's just and I think even Priti Patel, of all people, said that they've already got the laws are in place to do what they want to do. It's just that they haven't implemented them yet, or implemented properly, or they're implementing the way that would allow them to do it. Yeah. Probably because it would break all sorts of laws and all sorts of human rights conventions. Lefty Boater says, "Stop the boats is straight out of the National Front manifesto. It's disgusting." Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do they hope to impose a lifetime? How do they hope to impose a lifetime ban on people with no documents as Sir Larry the Cat? Yeah.
Exactly.
In a completely unrelated note, has anyone read the Madagascar plan? Good thing we aren't doing something like that today. I read it. I saw it mentioned, and I looked it up yesterday. It was a Nazi plan to deport all of Europe's Jews to Madagascar, and then run it as a police state by the SS, where basically everybody just die eventually anyway, either through illness or just through abuse and being shot by the SS. So but that's kind of
allegedly.
No, that was the plan. That was a plan.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we go from we're pretty much staying on topic.
It's a very similar topic. Yeah.
Anyway, guys.
Look, squirrel. Look, small boats. Forget everything else. Look, small boats. Says Alistair. Yeah. And Royston says, look over there. Yeah. Fanny Gaslight in the house says, yeah. Anyway, right. So, next one. Do you want me to do this one?
Yeah, you do this one.
So on the
Voice of the voiceless.
Yeah, Gary Lineker says he keeps speaking for those with no voice after asylum row. So Gary Lineker said he'll try to keep speaking up for the people with no voice after criticism of his tweets on the government's asylum policy. The Match of the Day host said the language setting out the plan was not dissimilar to that used by the Germany in the 1930s. Home Secretary Suella Braverman said she was disappointed by the remarks. The BBC said it was having a frank conversation with Lineker about the BBC's need to remain impartial. On Tuesday, the government outlined its plans to ban people arriving in the UK illegally from ever claiming asylum in a bid to address a rise in the number of people crossing the channel in small boats. Just kind of stopping on that, because this is what annoys me, is there are no legal routes for people to come in unless you've got a passport and a visa. But there's a very simple way of stopping this. We've said it before many times. There's a very simple way of stopping the boats almost instantly, and that is you set up a meta way of allowing people to apply for asylum before they reach the country, and then they can apply, and they can even set up a processing centre in France, which the French government would like to do, and allow it all to be done by the book legally, and then anybody who isn't a legal asylum seeker, then you just reject them, they don't even get across. And they would be probably the only few people who would actually try and do that were people who were so desperate, maybe because they were, for whatever reason, but have been rejected. But as long as there is a proper process there, that this could be stopped.
Let's remind ourselves just before you carry on the article.
Yeah.
Suella Braverman was put on the spot about that, and she
Yeah.
couldn't come up with a straightforward answer.
No.
It's like she didn't. She was saying, like, she was asked. I can't remember who it was, but basically she was put on the spot about, like, what is a legal safe route for migrants to come to this to come to the UK, and she couldn't come up with an answer.
So, I think at the moment there's only 3, maybe 4. No, I think maybe 3. Afghanistan, which has only brought in like 290 people, have actually successfully applied and got through or been approved. Hong Kong, there's quite a lot of people have come through on that. And
was the Syria one?
Is there a Syrian? Is there a Syrian one?
I don't know. I don't know if there was one in Syria. I could be wrong.
Ukraine is the third one.
And Ukraine, of course, yeah. Ukraine.
So, just going back then to Gary Lineker. So, opposition MPs and humanitarian organisations have strongly criticised the proposals to detain and swiftly remove adults regardless of their asylum claim. But the PM and Home Secretary have defended the plan, saying stopping the crossings is a priority for the British people. No, it isn't. It's not. And I'd love to see some polling on this. If it was a
priority, you would have done it already.
Yeah. And they're basically going, oh, look, Labour's 5 missions don't include this, and they're wrong because it's a priority for the British people. I'd love to see actual polling, to say, is this a priority? And I bet it wouldn't feature in the top 10.
There was some polls. Again, this was from Phil on a Different Bias, and he had some polls, some statistics up. And one of them, they had one side was obviously Conservative voters, and one side of the other was Labour voters.
Mm-hmm.
And like the top 5 main issues of Conservative voters I think it was in the top 5. In the top 5 was
immigration,
legal immigrants.
Right, yeah.
But if you look on the Labour side, it's much further down it's much further down the graph. However, both Conservative and Labour voters are more concerned about the economy and healthcare when it comes to the major issues in the country.
Yeah. So, the presenter described it on Twitter as an immeasurably cruel policy directed at the most vulnerable people in a language not dissimilar to that used by Germany in the 30s. His remarks were criticised widely by Conservative MPs and ministers, including Ms Braverman and Downing Street. The furore surrounding Lineker's latest remarks puts pressure on the BBC, with Director General Tim Davie having made impartiality a cornerstone of his leadership. Responding to some of the criticism on Wednesday, Lineker tweeted, "Great to see the freedom of speech champions out in force this morning, demanding silence from those with whom they disagree." It's absolutely right, yeah. These people going about free speech are the first to say, no, you need to shut up. How dare you? He followed up shortly after with, "I have never known such love and support in my life that I'm getting this morning. England World Cup goals aside, possibly. I want to thank each and every one of you. It means a lot. I'll continue to try and speak up for those poor souls that have no voice." Earlier, Ms Braverman told BBC One's Breakfast she was disappointed, obviously, his comments. "I think it's unhelpful to compare our measures, which are lawful, proportionate, and indeed compassionate, to 1930s Germany." I don't think either of those things are true. Lawful,
there is no compassion whatsoever in this law,
compassion, definitely.
and she knows it.
I also think we're on the side of the British people here. I don't think you are. I'm not going to play that.
No, you are not.
The only thing that annoyed me was Yvette Cooper went on radio and basically said, "Oh, we shouldn't compare things to the 1930s." Like, what? Not compare anything to the 1930s? Just
what? We're not allowed to talk about it. Just like we're not allowed to talk about the faults of what the British Empire have been capable of either. Well,
sorry.
Oh,
press the wrong button.
Someone's playing with the buttons.
Press the wrong one.
No, I mean, we've got skeletons in our own closet too, guys. So,
Oh, damn, I've done it again. Sorry. Apologies. Keep pressing.
Please stop playing with the buttons over there. I know I
accidentally switched them round, and now I keep pressing the wrong one. Sorry.
Sorry. Obviously, the point I'm getting to is obviously, Britain has its own skeletons in our closet. We're no strangers to faults of the past, and we must accept that just like any other nation. And it's important to remember our history. So, absolutely terrible to be talking about this on International Women's Day from a woman who's more than happy to treat treat people with such utter discontent, discontent.
Contempt.
Yeah, you guys know where I'm coming from in
Yeah.
the chat anyway. So,
Week's got Stogs there, Doug. Suella claiming that the government think her bill is legal when the front page admits that it's more likely than not that it falls outside of the ECHR is Trump-level gaslighting. Yeah.
Yes, 100% agree. Too many people seem to think that fascism only comes from with a military uniform or a funny moustache. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's always a better way where the Tories are concerned, says number 3. Yeah. Jam tomorrow. Can we
seek asylum in the EU? Says number 3. Yeah, we should consider that.
Yeah. You still strange funny moustache, says Stu. Okay. Right. Shall we move on to something a bit funny regarding that?
Yeah, let's move away from this upsetting story.
Yeah, well, kind of move away from it, but remain topical.
Slightly move away.
Colin is in Portsmouth. Hello, Colin.
You know who the real villain is in all this?
It's Gary Lineker, isn't it?
Gary bloody Lineker. He thinks they're fascists. He's treated poor Suella like a common crook. This is the 40th attempt by the Conservatives to stop people coming into this country, and they've really got it right this time.
This is the bill to criminalise people coming in via small boats, isn't it, Colin?
People persecuted by war, fleeing terror. They'll think twice about fleeing that terror if they realise they might get a criminal record here, and maybe even a fixed penalty notice.
Well, there's a large possibility that it will break international law, Colin.
How can we break international law when we're the most moral country on the planet?
Yeah.
And if we have to break the law, then it's worth it to make a law which says that those refugees are breaking the law. We'll come down hard on them. Tough on those who break the law.
Apart from on ourselves.
Well, then we'll arrest ourselves to set an example, won't we?
Yeah.
Suella and Jonathan Gullis could deport themselves to Rwanda, showing that that's not such a bad place to live. Asylum seekers will flock there instead, and it'll solve the crisis overnight. Anyway, mate, thanks for having me on. Love to the family.
Love to the family, Colin. Love to the family.
Suella, let's ban the Oxford-Cambridge small boat race.
Oh, now there's a policy I can agree with.
Brilliant.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Arrest ourselves.
Arrest ourselves, guys. We have to arrest ourselves because clearly that's the only way to solve this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure a fixed penalty notice will put off people in small boats, definitely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. A piece of paper say you've been fined. That's definitely, that's scary. That is scary for sure.
That's Boris Johnson level scary, that. David Gerardo's here. Hi, everyone. My favourite show. Oh, thanks, David. Love to the family.
Hi, David. Hope you're well.
Love to the family, says Sir Loud the Cat. Love to the family, so that Aliston Care. Stu says Colin was evicted from Portsmouth. Sorry, guys. Lol. Was he sent to Rwanda?
No, that's not true. That's not true. That is not true.
Like Slowly Cat says, I was thinking of getting a rubber dinghy and heading to France. Yeah, sounds good. Well, maybe we can all jump in. How many people can we get to fit in one of those boats? I don't know. Stop the boats is just a geographic twist to build the wall. Yeah, exactly. It needs a wave machine.
Good to see you there. Hope you're well.
Yeah. Boat face. Oh, yeah, High Pineapple. And Gaslighting is nothing compared to Soul Forge Doom Fire. Yeah. Maybe the boats
there's nothing
away.
more soul fortified than you, Jig Vengeance, that's for sure.
Tories aren't content with misremembering history. They want to take us back to the 1800s or early. Mr. Rees.
No, that's Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Yeah. Right. Moving away from the UK even.
Yes, let's move away from the UK. To Ukraine, guys.
Yeah. Do you want me to do it? Or are you okay? You can do it.
I'll do this one, and then you could do the next bit, obviously.
All right, okay.
Because
sure.
you could explain it better.
Okay.
So I'll just read. I won't read too much into this, guys. But it's from the Kiev Post, so they get some great updates on what's happening over in obviously in the Ukraine war. So Russia's use of Frankenstein tanks and the severity of its losses in Ukraine. Basically, so massive losses of armored vehicles have forced Russian commanders to not only draw out aging stock of tanks dating back from the 1960s, but also stitch together improvised tanks. The history of military forces having to cannibalize equipment, particularly when resources are under pressure, stretches back to World War I and and in the period ever since. In World War II, German forces fielded an ever-growing assortment of bizarre weapons. One example was the Lineker tank destroyer. The Germans took Pizer chassis, which was virtually ineffective against most Allied army vehicles, but mechanically reliable and could be manufactured in large numbers quickly. To do, they were fitted a low-profile, steeply stooped cabin. Say this contained a well-proven 75mm anti-tank gun that could reliably take down most Allied armored vehicles. It is now both reliably well protected and low-profile, better to remain hidden compared to large German tanks. Just skip right down to this bit. So the Kremlin forces already lost as 1,700 tanks in Ukraine, including their most up-to-date versions of the T90 and T14 Armita tanks. The UK's Ministry of Defence has said that even though the so-called elite armoured divisions, such as the 1st Guards Tank Army, is now being equipped with 60-year-old T-62 tanks, in recent days it's been reported that the Russians' BTR-50 armour-piercing carriers, which have first entered into service in 1954, have also been deployed to Ukraine. Some Russian commanders, desperately short of battle-ready tanks, appear to have turned to improvising Frankenstein tanks from spare parts to fill the gap in their armoury. It's pretty much a desperate attempt for Russia to just literally, they're probably pulling them out of the museum, aren't they? Yeah. To get them to Ukraine. It's
yeah, the images we've been seeing of tanks fitted with overhead cages, additional scraps of armour, even wooden logs to try to prevent the full force of Ukrainian missile attacks. Yeah, these are. Have you seen these things? So these are Russian MTLB tanks fitted with naval turrets. So these are things that should be on top of warships, battleships.
Yeah.
And look how high they stick up as well. It's like they're just like
such an easy target.
Oh my god. Bizarre, crudely engineered vehicles being the 1950s naval anti-aircraft turret fitted to a Soviet-era MTLB amphibious fighting vehicle.
Scroll down.
Look at that one. Jeez.
God almighty, what is wrong with them?
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, that's just, like you say, it just sticks out. Even if you saw it on the horizon, it would stick out a mile, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
Hamish de Breton Gordon, a British military analyst, said that Islamic State fighters have fielded similar vehicles in the Middle East, and added the fact that I suppose First World Army is cobbling together different bits of kit, not dissimilar to terrorist organisations like Al-Qaeda and ISIS, hopefully shows a perilous state of the Russian army. It does Ukraine improvise in this way. In the early days of Russia's invasion prior to the arrival of Western equipment, Ukraine also needs to fall back on Soviet equipment to support its armed forces. Where they identified the capability gap, they also took to combining gear from different weapons systems. This did not smack of the current desperation of Russian forces, but exemplified the innovation and out-of-the-box thinking that has been a feature of Ukraine's resistance. Firstly, although Ukraine had been modernising its tank fleet for several years, they still had to mobilise older and modified tanks to provide sufficient numbers to engage the enemy. Realising that these would likely be vulnerable to new generations of anti-tank weapons, Ukraine began to fit explosive reactive armour to these older tanks. Yeah, so those are they're these. Let me just put I'm just going to put the sorry, well, I'll just fix this. Well, there we go, capture cursor. Okay. Oh no, I've lost it now. That's not good, is it?
No, you weren't supposed to do that.
Right, so you see my cursor now? It's not showing.
I think so.
You see it now? No, it's not showing on there.
I don't think I can. But anyway, just go ahead. Even if you haven't got it, it's fine.
So these are these boxes that you can see, which basically, if the design that they explode at the same time as if a missile hits it, they explode first. So and it causes the missile to explode away from the tank, or just slightly away, which limits the amount of damage it does if it just slammed into the tank and exploded. You use the similar way you see these sort of cages, these meshes down the side of the tanks. So they've added these to them. The Russians at the time, apparently, a lot of them found the Russian tanks after the invasion, captured ones, were just like egg boxes inside. They're supposed to have explosives, and they're just literally empty boxes. So the Russians were kind of like fooling their own people. Yeah, it consists of metal boxes and 10 explosives fitted to the outside of the tank, detonates, causing disruption, and preventing penetration of the main armour. Yeah. So, anyway.
Schultz says that that tank with the bin on its head, that's Count Binface.
It's Count Binface's tank.
Brilliant.
Oh,
One, all
yeah.
Schultz. How are you doing? Good to see you in the chat.
Yeah, it's IL
Saw
Schultz,
that
yeah.
comment and I just thought, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, East Scott Stog said that looks like Lord Buckethead is riding in that tank.
A great point by Q here in the chat. Look, they cannot fit modern parts to newly tech old tanks. That picture is there's no ammo for that gun. They stopped making it in the 1950s. Exactly. They're going to drive a tank in there, like from the 1950s. How do we fire it? We stopped making ammo for it about 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But well, hopefully they're just going to intimidate the Ukrainians, you know.
Yeah. Was that a Hetzer says? Which picture context? So context. Saw that pig again. Was that the Hetzer? That one.
Oh, that's the one
is...
with the navel. That was.
Is that
the one
the
you
top
scrolled
one?
up. That was the one with the naval turrets
Turret on
that
the
they
top.
put on them.
Yeah. Oh dear.
And then obviously there's the one that looks like Count Binface's. Someone should take a picture.
There's one
of
on the
that.
top as well.
Take a picture of that and send that to his. I'll take a picture of that and I'll send that to his Twitter. I'm sure he'll like that very much.
Yeah, improvising these tanks. Oh, that's the Hetzer tank destroyer. Oh, that's the Hetzer. Sorry, that's the Hetzer you're asking about. Yeah, that's the there. That's interesting looking. It looks like an armadillo or something, kind of.
It's a weird looking tank.
It is, yeah. Yeah. So, just moving on from this then. So, just on Ukraine and the battle for Bakhmut. So, this is from Deep State. You've probably seen this map if you ever watched. There's a guy called Dennis who's a pilot, commercial pilot. He does videos every night on this. So, going back to the 1st of March.
Can't see your cursor, by the way.
Good. Right. Okay, that's good because I can point. Yeah. So, on the northwest and the southwest of Bakhmut, you can see where the Russians are in the pink, green is the Ukrainian forces. The bit in between, the greyed out bit, is the where the battles are. Nobody's in overall control, and the arrows are where the forces, the battles are being pushed forward. So you can see that's from the first. If we move forward, you can kind of see where the battle is moving forward. On the 5th, the 6th, and then yesterday. That's as far as it's got. So you can see if I just zoom in here, you can see that this is the Bakhmutka River, which the Russians are kind of held on the eastern side of that in Bakhmut, but they have taken over all this part of the city. So they're pushing in, but Ukraine has decided to defend it and not leave it. So they're bringing reinforcements in. Apparently, from what I've heard, they've got reinforcements in Ivanivska, so in Bodanivka, and I think in these areas around here. I know this is sort of a hilly area around Chasiv Yar, which allows them to kind of give them a sort of high ground. But you can see where the Wagner, and this is mainly the Wagner group, but there is rumours that the Wagner group is still limited on it's used so much of its ammunition that it's running low, and also that they've basically been chucking in these former criminals from prisons as like as at the front, on the front line, and a lot of them have been killed. Now they're getting to the point where actually pushing in the special forces, their own guys who have fought in Syria and places like that, all along the front line, as a big push. But Ukraine is kind of holding them off for the time being. So we'll see how that all progresses. But that's just to give you kind of an update of what's happening in Ukraine.
Yeah, they appear to be really throwing the kitchen sink at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a small part of the front line as well. But they're really going for it. But you can see down. Oh, sorry. If we go down here, that's gone a bit weird. You can see that the Russians are also pushing here. I don't know how much they've actually. Yeah, how much they've actually taken. And you see they've moved forward a bit there. Moved up around here. That's kind of, there you go. So the Russians
they're
are
making
pushing
all these pushes, but are they going to be able to hold them? That's the thing, Then I think I mean, obviously, you would expect at some point in the future Ukraine to make another counter-offensive, but they'll try to minimise. If Ukraine have to give up ground to minimise casualties, I think they will do that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is that they're waiting for the ground for spring, because at the moment a lot of the frost has melted, so it's like really muddy, which isn't good for getting tanks and things like that. But they're waiting for the ground to harden up a bit, and then I think is the general thinking before they go for a push. But at the same time, the Russians might be thinking the same thing. So. Conservative says Ukraine says that for every Ukrainian casualty, there are 7 Russian casualties. If Russia is doomed to fail, why not make excuses and withdraw now? Says number 3. Wagner are running low on personnel too, says Zona. Hi Zona. We've got a few more.
Hi Zona, good to see you there.
Alka Beach.
Duke is also in the chat as well.
Yeah, hi Duke. The Russians' new tanks have performed terribly, apparently. I've seen some Ukrainian videos about destroying Russian tanks, etc., with accompanying rock music. I found that quite yeah, there is some of them take a bit kind of like make a bit of a, I don't know, it's almost like war porn, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, the Russians have made some terrible mistakes in putting loads of tanks into fields and in lines, and they're just so easy for the Ukrainians to just take them out. Tank Drive 1, just going back to Count Binface, says Tank Drive 1 to Tank Driver 2, did you remember to put the bins out? Yeah. That tower comes off at the first railway bridge. Oh dear, yeah. All Shorts is here as well. All Shorts says, sorry.
I did mention him earlier.
Oh, did you? Oh, yeah.
Joke.
Oh, the Count Binface, yeah, of course, yeah. Bonsoir, All Shorts, yeah. The Hetzer.
Yeah, but 140 armoured Russian armoured vehicles were destroyed near Varden. I can't say the word conservative there, sorry. Vargund. My pronunciation is absolutely terrible. So
where's that? Sorry.
140 armoured vehicles.
Oh, Vuladar, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, they basically pushed the load in on a big attack, and they were just so easy for them to pick out with like drones and and then guiding the missiles to where to fire the missiles and things like that. I saw a short video of it, and they're just like picking them off one by one. There's yeah.
Right, we're running low on time, so I think we should move on.
Okay.
We are going to go into overtime.
Oh, yeah, they did the wrong one again.
No, we don't need to highlight the news again, please.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Oh, we're going to... we've got a little funny thing, so, from one of our faves. I forgot we've got these other 2 stories to do. I was thinking, we're doing okay for time, but we're not really. Right.
No, we're not. We've got
so it's been all over the news that former...
Sorry, what did you say?
No, go on, carry on, it's fine.
So it's been all over the news that former Health Secretary and kangaroo scrotum eating attention addict Matt Hancock has had a bunch of his WhatsApp messages leaked to the press. But how? Well, these messages were all willingly shared by Matt Hancock with Daily Telegraph journalist Isabel Oakeshott while she was ghostwriting his shameless COVID cash-in book, The Pandemic Diaries, which appears to be an almost fictional account of how Matt Hancock bossed the COVID crisis like Big Sam Allardyce taking the reins at some relegation-threatened Premier League club. Now, some people have reacted with shock and outrage at the fact that these exchanges on WhatsApp between politicians are quite chummy and light-hearted, but I'm not sure why anyone would expect them to behave the same way on WhatsApp as they would in a Commons debate, for instance. Personally, I'm just shocked that there isn't more utterly deprived memes or surprise porn videos, which seems to make up about 80% of the WhatsApp messages I receive, although that probably says more about the company that I keep than anything else. These WhatsApps are being drip-fed to the public for maximum impact, but so far we've learned that Hancock thought that Eat Out to Help Out was a terrible idea. I mean, didn't we all? Encouraging everyone to sit inside in shared spaces in the middle of an airborne pandemic. Who thought that was a good idea? I remember sitting inside those packed pubs and restaurants thinking, This is a terrible idea. But who can argue with scampi and chips and a pint of shandy for £2.50? Worth risking your life for if you ask half the British public. Hancock felt that Boris Johnson was a distrusted figure. I mean, that's not really news, is it? What's next? Did he think that the Game of Thrones finale was a tad disappointing? By the way, these messages also show that Boris Johnson commented on a news story of two people being fined £10,000 each because they broke quarantine rules as superb. Like the morally rudderless Teflon swat that he is. Hancock wanted to scare the public when he was pondering the precise moment to release details of a new COVID strain for maximum impact, which suggests a misuse of power, especially when you look at the contempt that Hancock and senior civil servant Simon Case show for the public in another exchange of messages in which they laughed at those holed up in quarantine hotels. Oh yeah, and apparently during a shortage of COVID tests, Jacob Rees-Mogg had a test directly couriered to him. Although I bet that man has everything directly couriered to him. COVID tests, clean underpants, the still beating heart of a freshly shot peasant. But the Hancock stuff is pretty damning, and it all adds to the dossier of information that we have to suggest that Matt Hancock is a bad tit. And I'm not saying it wasn't challenging to be in government at that point. Of course it was. First pandemic in a generation. The science is changing with every passing day. Nobody's quite sure what the right course of action is. But the sympathy runs out quickly because we all saw the VIP lanes set up for PPE contracts for mates. And these monumental, vomit-inducing cash grabs that we all saw as the rest of the nation suffered. These are still being revealed. Because while we lost our sense of smell, Hancock and the Tories smelt opportunity. And understandably, Hancock and Oakeshott have since very publicly fallen out over this. He says he paid her to ghostwrite the book. She said he never paid her to ghostwrite the book. And we all said, what time's double maths? Because it feels like we're back in school now. Maybe actually they both just really fancy each other and they need to just go behind the bins and have a quick fumble and get it out of the system. But she's threatened to release more WhatsApp messages. She's actually said that she is sitting on nuclear weapons, which might explain her awkward facial expressions when she's on TV. But here's my big question. If these additional messages are now being released to the press after the book has been published, doesn't that mean that both author and ghostwriter created a false account of the pandemic with that book? And if that's the case, why should anyone read that fictional book? And collectively, we should all pray that he does not release a sequel.
Pandemic Diaries 2. This time it's shitter.
Folks, I'm on tour around the UK this autumn. Go to samaverycomedy.com for all the live dates, and if you want to support the videos I do and get extra content, you can join me in the House of Avery, where for as little as £3 a month you can get extra videos while supporting my content and keeping it ad free. Go to the link in the post. Nice one.
Yep, you heard him, guys. If you are not a fan of Sam Avery, go check out his channel, and if you want to support him, you just follow his links in his channel. Good stuff from him.
Yeah.
Right, should we go to a lovely story, Lee?
Yes.
Really nice one, guys.
I'm doing so badly today. Go on.
A nice one for International Women's Day, so I'm sure one or two ladies in the chat will like this one as well. So it's from Positive Outlooks. Ballerina born without arms soars with her winning attitude, inspires thousands. Sometimes the only thing that keeps people from reaching their dreams is their own excuses, but this young ballerina born without arms, these excuses are no match for the hard work and confidence. From a young age, Victoria Bruno of Santa Rita do Scapi, Brazil, has demonstrated an interest in dancing. So when her physiotherapist recommended she try ballet, her family enrolled her in a class that teaches the dance. When her mum first dropped her off at her class, she was worried her 5-year-old daughter would find it hard to fit in. But those fears were banished when they saw Victoria grow into a confident young woman who doesn't see her lack of arms as a disadvantage. For me, arms, they're just a detail. Now the 16-year-old said, I follow with my eyes as if they were there. Growing up in a small town in rural Brazil was tough, as disability made her social curiosity. Her mum, Wanda, 39, remembers people lining up outside her house so they could see her daughter. Some would even lift her sleeves to take a look. The insensitivity shown by these people were definitely painful, but it didn't hinder Victoria from focusing on what is truly important, her dream of becoming a dancer. Victoria does more than just ballet. She also does tap, jazz, and contemporary dance. The talented teen is now regular at the Ballet Academy with her hometown. Her attitude and how she carries herself have made her a social media star and an inspiration to many worldwide. Despite her uniqueness, Victoria has the exceptional ability to blend in with her colleagues during the performance. And when you see her gliding across the wooden stage, it's easy to forget that she dances with no arms because she moves so gracefully. I feel like I don't need them at all, she says. Aside from helping fulfill her dreams, dancing has developed Victoria's strength and flexibility. These things are crucial for her because she does everything with her feet, from brushing her teeth and applying makeup to picking items off the grocery store shelf. There are things that she can do with her feet that I can't do with my hands, her stepfather Jose said. To date, Victoria has over 157,000 followers on Instagram, where she often shares fun dance videos and how-to routines. The teen is just glad that she can serve as an inspiration to others by simply being herself. We are more than just our disabilities. We have to chase our dreams, she says. You can check out Victoria in an amazing audition on America's Got All Talent 22 star below. What a lovely story, Lee.
Yeah, lovely. I mean, it must be so hard because, you use your arms for balance, but I mean, she's grown up with this. And should we have a quick look? Oh, man, I'm out of video. We can maybe unmute the sound.
Try
it. We keep getting caught with.
Hold on, you might get I haven't clicked the video. You might be copyright music.
Yeah, I'm gonna just mute the sound. There we go. Just so you can see it dancing. Maybe you can get.
Just see, guys, if we can get
here we go.
a bit of. Oh, there we go. So obviously we can't play the music, guys. But we'll watch a little bit of it. But I will post a link in the Discord server for you guys if you want to have a look as well.
Yeah, because the arms are so much about dancing in the ballet is like a lot of the balance is with your arms, and that must be really amazing. Yeah, we'll put a link in the video because it's quite a long video. So we'll but that's amazing. She's doing really well. Inspirational.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Lovely to share on International Women's Day as well. So very happy to have found that as well. So just so you know, guys, remember if you want to see that, you can see that on our see that and plus more on our Discord server. But we got one more story to share before we start wrapping things up, Lee. It's a short one and it's a funny one.
This one is funny. Do you want me to do it?
It is funny.
It's
funny for your soccer fans. Yeah, go on, Lee. I know you want to do it.
Newcastle United fan left red-faced after premature celebratory tattoo. Tell me, ma. NEFC Cup winners, 26th of February 23. Yeah. One Newcastle fan got carried away with the excitement of League Club's League Cup final appearance. Newcastle fan Chris Cook was so convinced his club was going to win a first domestic trophy for nearly 70 years that he had a tattoo celebrating the fact on his leg. The problem was Newcastle ended up losing to Man United in Sunday's League Cup final at Wembley. Cook had the popular chant, "Tell me ma," complete with NEFC Cup winners, 26th of 2nd, 23, etched onto his skin. It proves somewhat premature as Newcastle's wait goes on. I asked the lass who does me tattoos, can you put cup winners on my leg? I think she was thinking it was a bad idea at the time, but I got it done. I think my mum is still a little bit livid. My grandma, she went ballistic. Apart from that, all my pals think it's funny. Asked by BBC Radio Newcastle reporter whether one solution would be to change the N to an M for the sake of accuracy, Cook said he'd rather wait for a Newcastle win. I wouldn't have that on my leg. I'd rather have one leg, to be fair. It was dedication or stupidity, really. I've always loved Newcastle, but I didn't think I'd be walking around with that on my leg for the rest of my life. As long as he wins something, I don't care, so I can kind of get away with it a little bit. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
But,
look at that tattoo again. There we go.
Jesus Christ! Come on, people! Like people do not premature stuff like that. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
when it happens, then go ahead with it, but don't do it beforehand. It's like that. You remember, you guys? I don't know if you guys remember the guy who ordered the England World Cup shirts, winners' shirts. Do you guys remember that? Yeah, there was a story about the guy who had 20,000 England World Cup winner shirts. Yeah, and obviously that didn't come to fruition. Obviously, so what did you think of what you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, football fans jumping way ahead of things, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Nico the Schmidt say, "Hi, Nico. You kind of missed most of it, but never mind."
That's all right. You can always come back and watch the rest of it.
Yeah. Well, at least he's committed. She says. Yeah. Do you say he should be committed? Says Larry the cat. Yeah, probably.
There is commitment, and there is also stupidity.
Right, and we're done. That's it. We've got one last thing.
We are done, but we've got one more outro video before we wrap things up. So, guys, just as Lee gets that ready, if you want to put a link in the chat while I just do the usual link for the server, Lee, as well, while I do the usual bits.
Right, hang on a sec.
Guys, just want to say a big thank you, guys, for coming along on to the show. Obviously, we've gone a bit over. We had a lot to cover today. If you guys can, we really appreciate you guys hitting the like button on your way out. We really appreciate it. If you can, share this across other social media platforms to help get us out there across other platforms. Obviously, anything that helps, really appreciate it. And if you can, obviously, you can click the bell notification icon under the subscribe button so you'll be notified of when we go live. Also, if you didn't see it last week, we had the Lee Corns doing his run around of looking for turnips. The video is up on our channel as well. If you guys haven't seen that, definitely worth checking it out. I know most of you guys have already seen it, but if there's obviously somebody who hasn't, definitely worth checking out this wonderful story of Teresa Coffey telling Lee Corn you can go out there and get some turnips, and Lee Corn went out there to get some turnips. So it's a wonderful investigation by Mr. Corn, wasn't it?
Running around supermarkets, a bit like Marcus today in showing us turnips in Lidl and all the tomatoes and everything they had in Lidl today. But
just one more thing, just before we do the outro as well, guys. Obviously, it's been mentioned many times, but we also have a Discord server called the Snowflake server, which is completely free. The link is in the chat now. If you guys haven't joined already, completely free. And on there we post obviously lots of political news. We also do games nights, music nights, and movie nights, as well as we also share some other things as well that go on the server. So there's lots of activity that takes place on the server, and it's completely free to join. So you're more than welcome to join our community.
Yes, I put the link in the chat. So if you like to click on that link and you can join us after the show. All Shorts says we have turnips and we have tomatoes. Well done, All Shorts. Well done, Marcus.
We'll try and get some turnips on the Snowflake server.
Yeah, my turnips are shriveled up. That's not a euphemism.
I need an emoji one is what we need, yeah.
And cheap wine. I know cheap wine is so cheap in France, but there you go. Yeah. Right, if you want to carry on the discussion after the show, Discord channel, I'll put a link in again. There we go. And we're going to leave you with our favourites, Larry and Paul, who weren't here last week, but they're here tomorrow, apparently, hopefully, because they're 1 minute they're here, next week they did that. So, but hopefully they're here live tomorrow if you want to catch them, 9 o'clock tomorrow, Larry and Paul on YouTube. But for the meantime, we'll take you out with their real daily briefing, and we'll catch you on the other side.
And we'll see you in the after chat, guys, on the server. Take care and have a great week, everyone.
Take care.
Emotionless greeting. Quick dog whistle to summon racists and bastards. Providing update on new immigration bill. Allowing time for viewers to absorb new moustache. Like our policies, a bit Nazi, but we're not quite there yet. We'll keep trying. Revealing a new 3-part slogan. Quick point. Glad that the suffering of millions of displaced people can be distilled into just 3 words. Lovely font though. Wondering who'd have thought this style of briefing would have become relevant again. Delighted to provide excellent online political comedians with fresh new ammo, knowing wink. Fiercely opposing Gary Lineker's point of view, adding that the BBC simply should not be employing people with compassionate and progressive views towards refugees and asylum seekers, demanding that the BBC remains politically neutral, and promising to bring that up with my great friend Timmy, who runs the BBC. Supporting my colleague, Chinless Ming the Merciless, Suella Deville Braverman, and saying she's absolutely right to claim 1 billion people might want to come here, in the same way Margot Robbie might want to sleep with me. Adding that we've worked hard over 13 years to make this as unattractive a country to live in as possible for working people, and we're not about to stop now. Getting reaction to the new immigration bill from colleagues in the DUP.
Homosexuality is an abomination.
Bloody hell, they're obsessed. Finally, admitting we may have wiped out the UK's international standing, ruined the economy for generations, filled our waterways and beaches with human effluents, and proven time and time again that we're corrupt to fuck. But we need to focus on the important things. Labour employed Sue Gray. A dainty nod. Snotty, thank you. Oh, Jesus Christ.